Dumaguete. Hello, Sillimanians around the world. On behalf of Joshua Soldivillo, this is Ronelyn Vailoces, and this is #Silliman. For #Silliman updates, Silliman University produced 5 new registered medical technologists who passed the August 2022 Medical Technologist Licensure Examination. Congratulations to Miss Angelica Acosta, Abigail Binatero, Leia Garaygay, Jepa Dayhag, and Cian Maverick Realista. Keep up the good work. Meanwhile, the Sense and Coral, one of the country's oldest literary journals, is now reopening submissions for the pandemonium issue. This second chapter will focus on hope, transformation, and rebuilding after the pandemic. The deadline for submissions is on October 1, 2022. Silliman University will establish the Dr. Mariano Lau Global Studies Center to offer short courses and certificate programs online, enabling students from anywhere in the world to experience the university's whole-person education. The center is named after Dr. Mariano C. Lau, a 2018 Outstanding Sillimanian awardee who pledged to donate 20 million pesos for the center's facilities and equipment. That would be all. See you next week for another set of #Silliman updates. Good evening. This is a magazine program that talks about different aspects of Silliman University, a program initiated to discuss matters concerning the campus by the sea. Welcome everyone to #Silliman. So for tonight's episode, we will be welcoming our new pastors here at Silliman University, and also we will be talking about the celebration of the Christian Education Month. So without further ado, let me introduce our guests for tonight. Let's start with the Minister for Campus and Student Chaplaincy. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Reverend Alan Ramos.
Good
afternoon, Pastor. Good evening, Pastor.
Good evening.
Okay. And we also have here with us tonight the Minister for Christian Education, Reverend January Alpuerto.
Good evening.
And of course, we will be also asking questions to our university pastor. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Reverend Jonathan Pia. Good evening, Pastor.
Good evening.
So I'd like to congratulate our new pastors here in Silliman University. Now, my questions for tonight will be a bit personal.
Okay.
So, pastors, I'd like to know, why did you choose to become a pastor? I'd like to ask Reverend Alan.
Yeah, it was my experience as an active CYF member in our church. And I observed our pastor then and how he was able to really relate to people of all stations in life. And it was quite inspiring. So that was the major reason that I thought I would like to go into that occupation or vocation. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for that, Pastor Alan. How about Pastor January?
It was a calling from the Lord, but I did not quite agree then with what he kind of impressed to me until it was about 10 years. So it was really a calling.
2012, that was 2012, 10 years ago?
2009. I started with 2009 because there's 1 year apprenticeship program before entering divinity school.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor John. How about our university pastor, Pastor Jonathan?
Well, I did not want to be a pastor in the first place.
Why? And then what made you decide to become a pastor?
Well, I'm a pastor's kid. My father was a pastor, and my mother decided that I should be a pastor.
Okay.
So, for me, at first I resented it. However, as I went through life here at the Divinity School, and later on working with churches, I felt that this is a calling for me. That God has called me in different ways through my mother.
Through your mother. Thank you. It's nice and it's very inspiring to know the reasons why you decided to become or to be part in the ministry. No, now, first it's because of the inspiration of former pastor that you had, Pastor Alan, and then because of the calling, God's calling through your mother, Pastor Jonathan. Now, when we say calling, what does it mean, Pastor John?
Well, initially, I really had, after college, I really did ask the Lord, where am I going? Because I finished a course, computer science, in which it was also the choice of my mother. So after college, I thought of, here's your diploma. I can do whatever I want. But then again, after college, where am I going? This is not the course that I wanted to take. So I asked the Lord, what is my mission? What is my purpose? And so I was evaluating with my life, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, all of those things. And then God granted me that vision. So I kind of, responded to the Lord, murag lahi ra na, Lord. I did not really. To me, it was not for me something to take serious. But I do remember what the Lord responded to my question, to my prayer. So I eventually went on taking up other profession. And eventually, I did not find any sense of fulfillment, sense of satisfaction with whatever work or profession then that I was in, until I finally decided to take master's in divinity school in 2000. And I decided 2009 and went to divinity school 2010.
So that's a reason.
Yes.
Now, hearing from your answers, I think a lot of our audience, might be interested on how a pastor can, what are the things or procedures that one should take before they become a pastor. So, what are the steps that we can take po? How do we become a pastor po? Pastor Jonathan.
Well, first of all, you need to feel that this is the kind of calling that God has for you. And many of the pastors find this by working in a church or assisting the pastors. Then after that, if they still feel that God has called them to this kind of ministry, what they do is they make some application to the local church that I want to be a pastor. And then the local church would endorse that person's name to the conference. Then the conference will interview the person. And after being interviewed, and if the conference feels that this person needs to be, can be a pastor, a good pastor, then he undergoes 1 year, is it 1 year of
Apprenticeship.
What do you call it?
Apprenticeship.
Apprenticeship. He or she works in a church with a pastor supervising. And after that, if that person still feels that this is his calling or her calling, then that's the time when he or she goes to the divinity school. But of course, it is needed that he should have or she should have also an undergraduate bachelor's degree. And if she wants to, he or he wants to be take up masters, it would be a master of divinity. But for some, I think there's still the bachelor of theology now.
And then further studies po, or no need to undergo doctorate or whatnot?
Well, if that person feels that he needs to improve himself or herself, then he can or she can go on a doctorate or and more studies.
Thank you very much for that, Pastor Jonathan. So for those who want or who aspires to become pastor, so please take note. Now, I'd like to ask Pastor Alan. You said that the reason why you became a pastor, one of the reasons why, is that you were inspired by your former pastor. Now, I'd like to ask more of your journey towards becoming a pastor. Did you encounter challenges or did you doubt at some point in your life?
I had no doubt it was Jonathan and myself had opposite situation. Her mother wanted him to be the pastor. My mother was strongly against it.
Oh.
And for the reason that, how much will the pastor pay? I mean, get in the church. But I was insistent. And eventually she yielded. And so I did, pursued, to the ministry. But before that, I was advised that you better have something, just in case you need a better salary. So I went through the engineering, and after that, I entered the seminary. And when I did start my ministry, of course, there were some challenges, difficulties, just like any other pastor. If you're assigned in a town, it's tough. But I never wavered. It's a matter of probably the experience kind of helped me strengthen my resolve. And from there, things went here and there. It was quite unnecessary. Like John said, it was a wonderful experience. The variety of your experiences, you cannot get it from any other profession. I'm not saying that other professions are not that good, but the variety, all the mix of human emotions, you get it from serving the ministry.
Thank you for that, Pastor John. How about Pastor Alan? How about Pastor John? Did you encounter some challenges aside from the from family pressures that Pastor John experienced?
I don't think I've had family pressure because I was already kind of late when I entered the seminary. In terms of challenges, all of us have various experiences in terms of challenges. For one thing, it was the moment that I start, actually, it was challenging because I guess I'm one of those for the books because my apprenticeship program, supposedly, you are under only one local church. But I did two. I did two local churches. And another interesting is that, challenging I would say, is adjusting from you were a professional then, and then now entering into a full-time student, because divinity is a full-time student actually. It's master's, but our class was 7 to 5. Only 1 hour break or 2 hour break. So that's another challenging experience that I went through. Another thing I would say, this is for my experience. Well, I would really say one of those challenging experiences is really having a strict administrator. Which is the one beside me.
OMG.
I really,
Is that a confession?
no, he didn't remember, pero there was one thing I cannot really forget. If you guys remember the earthquake in Gihulngan, I don't know if you remember that. But he has this strict,
13?
he has strict unwritten policy na dapat I would report to the office. Every week I would report to the office. And then something happened I think in February, nag-earthquake. And then we have a schedule. You have a schedule then. Yeah, it was. So we supposed to have a meeting by 11 in the morning. So, and then naglinog. So, wala ko niya to, syempre. And then, I came by the church office, I think that was 2:30. Then, nakita me, said, di sa man ka, kung abali niyo siya, galinog pagani. Siya, gani na rato. So, that was really one of those things. Those ones I cannot forget. Although I did not consider it a challenge, but a challenge in a way that there are certain things that will come in the ministry.
Yeah, yes.
But I would really thank for a very challenging journey throughout my apprenticeship program in my studies that helped me to become a better pastor in a challenging university. So I guess it will also a kind of preparation. So I would go back to your first question in terms of calling. God indeed called you and He will equip you. Although His ways are not what you think are, supposed to be the way it should be formed, formation man na siya. But there are certain things that now, talking with you and having this earning for you, I would say that those challenging journey as I started, it is now quite helpful to be able to sustain and be able to a little bit maka survive and able to have the tenacity and the strength to be in this university.
Thank you for that inspiring anecdote that you had.
I don't remember it though.
You have a lot of things that not you remember.
And I think I must ask this question to Pastor Jonathan because of that experience that Pastor Jan shared. What are the characteristics of a pastor?
Well, first of all, I think to be able to be a good pastor, you are able to feel what the others are feeling.
Empathy.
That's correct, empathy. And so that pastoral work, you really relate with people. And if you do not have that, it will be difficult. So you are able to relate with people. And of course, the other one is, of course, most churches would like a pastor to be a good preacher. Although we have different gifts. There is a gift for preaching, there is a gift for counseling, there's a gift for just listening, and there's a gift for doing things for others. So these are different gifts. And do not expect, I'm sorry to say that people should not expect that you should have all these things. So here in Silliman Church, we are quite fortunate that we have five pastors. And each pastor has his or her own gift. And so we complement each other. And as the senior pastor, I feel that it is part of my responsibility to look at these different gifts and try to develop them and help them develop those gifts so that they can be more effective in the ministry.
So that being said, Pastor, so from what I get from the things that you said, a pastor must be empathetic, then must have gifts. It doesn't matter if you're a good preacher, good at counseling, something like that. And of course, to be a good pastor, you need to also be a good leader who knows how to point out the gifts of that particular person and then enhance or improve.
That's true. That's correct.
So thank you very much. At this point in time, let's have a short break. And now we're back. We're still here with us are Pastor Jonathan, Pastor Jan, and Pastor Alan. Now, you mentioned about Silliman University. I'd like to ask, what made you decide to come here in Silliman and be a pastor? Pastor Jan?
Oh, you're asking me first?
Yes po.
Well, I've been a pastor here in Silliman 3 times. This is my 3rd time. First time, it was in 2006, after I retired from the United States. I stayed here for a year, and then after that, I went to Cagayan de Oro City, United Church of Christ in the Philippines. After staying there for 2 years, I came back to Silliman Church because there was a call from Silliman Church. And I felt that, well, in some sense, it was my wife telling me to move here, to move back here. Again, I'm mother than my wife, but actually,
Thanks to the women in your life, Pastor.
That's right. That's right. The women in my life. But however, I felt that I was needed here more than I was needed at Cagayan de Oro City. And so I stayed here for 4 years, and I decided to retire from Silliman University's church. But then, before the pandemic, again I was asked to come back because there was a need for a senior pastor again. I said yes and felt that there was a need. But then pandemic came, and for 2 years, I said no, I won't be able to go. However, this year, when airports were open, I decided to come. So in some ways, I felt that God really wants me to be here. It is a call from God. Although I haven't heard God talking to me, but I heard some people talking to me.
In some ways or
yes.
another.
Because God talks to us in diverse ways.
You just have to to listen carefully.
That's correct. You need to listen. Amen. That's my sermon on Sunday anyway.
Okay. We should be there.
That's right. We should be there.
Yes po. Pastor Jan, what made you decide to come here in Silliman?
I'm from Dumaguete, and Silliman Church is I am a scholar of the church, so I am serving the church.
So service is the main reason why you're here.
Well, basically, they are really the one who finance. So when after the calling, and I am the member of the church, so it is also my local church. So they are the one who sent me. I am the scholar of the church. So basically, I don't know what is a Pastor Pia. But as far as I'm concerned, they called me right after my graduation to serve the church. So I am serving the church.
Thank you very much, Pastor Jan. How about Pastor Alan?
Both Pastor Pia and myself are retired, not retired, but retired. And it was nice, right? Yeah, to retire there.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
comfortable, no hassle, no pressure.
You watch TV?
Yeah, but then there comes a time when you really, if you are able, you want to go back to the calling. And in a way, I was secretly yearning for it. And then a friend of mine, your former associate pastor, he's now in America, and he learned that there's a call from Silliman. And my wife heard it, and she said, you should go. She was more interested than me. It's hard to say no to
the woman
wife.
in your life.
The woman in my life. Yeah. And so to make the story short, it happened, but I am glad, because I've been here in Silliman for more than 10 years. So I thought that I would like to serve, the church that I used to go when I was a student here. And that's the story.
So that's the story. Now, Pastor Pia always tell us the woman in your lives. I'd like to ask, were you happy or grateful that you listened to the women in your lives?
I have no choice.
Be honest. Be honest.
Well, yes.
No.
As what I said, that God calls us in different ways. And sometimes God talks to my wife, and I listen to my wife, of course. To my mother, and I listen to my mother. Another way, I would say yes.
Yes.
A big yes.
A big yes. Okay. A happy yes.
Oh,
Pastor.
yes.
Okay. So that's it. We are, for this month, we are also celebrating the Christian Education Month.
And Nurture Month.
And
Nurture.
Nurture Month. So let's talk about it, Pastor John. So what are the activities that you have for the students and the Silliman community?
Well, let's talk about first for the students before the community, because I will be working with Pastor Alan since it's also up for the campus. First, it's kind of challenging in a way, and we are doing some variations for this year. First, because it's coming from the pandemic, and second, we are doing face-to-face as well. So the preparation coming from August, and then right after that is Christian Education Nurture Month. It's quite very challenging, and there is also a challenge how to get together the youth, as well as they are also trying to adapt yet to their classes, to their new normal, I would say, as they come back to the university. But those are the things. So every month, the whole month of September, we are celebrating first last Sunday, that's September 4, we are celebrating the CEN Sunday. This coming Sunday, September 11, we are celebrating the Children's Sunday. The third Sunday, that is September 18, we are going to focus on the Youth Sunday. But the whole week of that is also what we call Youth Week. And the fourth Sunday of September is what we call the CWA Sunday, or the Fellowship of the Least Coin Sunday, wherein the women of the church is also given part in the celebration of the Christian Education Nurture Month. But if you're going to, I just would like to make mention that there are the two CROs, or church-related organization, that is not really celebrating together with the CEN month, but they are also celebrating in another month. So that is the CF and the United Church Men. So, but let's go back to the September. For the children, of course, we are still observing, or still in the time of the pandemic.
True.
So we are also, they are just going to take part in the celebration in the church for 5 services. So from 6:30, 8, 9:30, 4, and 5:30. For the Youth Week, that is quite more with lined up activities. We are going to, starting tonight, we are going to have a dorm devotion. And then by next week, there is a schedule for senior high convocation. That is both face-to-face and live stream. Then we also plan for a movie night for the dormers. We also plan to have, and this is for the church, we are also planning to have a kind of team building for all the youth of the church, which is actually called Youth Ministry, which comprises the CYF, the Christian Youth Fellowship, the PK, or the Pastor's Kids. We have also the Pilgrim, that is the name for the 4 o'clock choir that composes the youth. And then we have the J2 Mad Praise and Worship Team. And we have the Junior CYF that belongs to the junior high of the university. And we also have OSF. So all these names mentioned have specific persons or people that is involved with. So that is how the big is the youth ministry as of now. We are talking about in the church. So those are the things that we are slowly preparing activities and planning with, together with the CN board and the other chairpersons for each committee, together with the elders of the church, and of course with Pastor Alan, with under of course the supervision of our senior pastor. So those are the things that we are preparing for for the month of September in celebration for the CN month.
Thank you very much for that. It's really difficult to track it down, no? Because there's a lot of activities. Now, where can we find these activities po? Is there a particular website, perhaps Facebook page
Yes.
of the Silliman University Church?
We can also, we are going to post it over our official Silliman University Church Facebook page. We can also, because it's just cross-posting, tawagan na, di ba? It is also under the SUCYF FB page, the Silliman University Youth Worship, and there's also an IG account being managed by the Junior CYF. But for the dormers or the students here in Silliman, we are always together with also the dorm life, the OSS and the SOAD. So they are quite as well as informed, but still again, with of course with so many things that's running around and going around in the lives of the students, we always message them actually through their email addresses. And each members of this youth organization are also encouraged to also share it on their social media apps.
Thank you very much for that, Pastor. Now that we opened a new semester, we always look forward, the faculty, the staff, the students here in Silliman University always look forward for UCLAM. Are there any news for UCLAM po, Pastor Pia?
We are requesting from the President's Office to appoint the members of the Spiritual Life Council. The Spiritual Life Council is the one that will plan out the UCLAM. So for now, we do not have any specific plans yet. We are waiting for the council to
Convene.
more or less convene so that we can do the planning.
Yeah, thank you very much for the update, Pastor Pia. Now, I'd like to ask, because I think we're running out of time. Is it already time? So, I'd like to ask our pastors, what message can you give to our audience who are listening now, who are struggling about something, personal, may it be personal, or the pressures after the pandemic? Any message, general message that you can give? Let's start with Pastor Ramos.
My message is simple. Now that we are coming back to the in-person, join a group, assimilate yourself, don't stay away, because that will just lead you to more depression. There's a lot of things happening in Silliman University. And anybody, student, all they have to do is look for, the activity, and they can be part of that activity, and before they know it, they'll say, "Oh, it's fun to be in Silliman."
Yeah.
Which I know because I've been here for so many years. It's fun, plus the added spiritual deepening that we do in the church. It's going to be a wholesome activity for anybody. So don't let yourself be overtaken by loneliness, depression. Come aboard.
Thank you very much for that, Pastor Ramos. Pastor John?
There's always a line of help. So there are so many offices and lines are open for you. Our lines are open for you. Our doors are open for you. So just click, call, or email or text.
Yeah.
There's always a line of help.
Yeah. After all, no man is an island, so it's better to also reach out. No.
Yes.
Pastor Pia?
Well, they have mentioned about being part of a group. Since I'm a pastor, I'd like to invite you to church.
Yeah.
We have 5 services, and there are different kinds of services. So if you want to go to a service or worship where you feel that your needs are being met, then you can stay with that. We have the 6:30 at Silliman Heights, 8 o'clock at the Darby Chapel, which is a smaller group. Then at the main sanctuary, we have the 9:30 and the 4 o'clock. Then the J2 band, which is for the youth actually, or most of them who go there are youth. is also in the main sanctuary at 5:30.
Thank you very much. So go to church, guys. If you want to feel home again, you know, there will always be a line of help. And I guess the help that we always need is the help from God, of course. Now we are at the last part of our program, that is hashtag WTP. Joshua is not here, so hi Josh. So I'll be the one who'll be answering the question, what is my word to ponder for the day? And I don't know if I have picked this particular word from the past episodes, but I'd like to ponder on the word calling, no? I think most of the pastors here mention about calling. No, it's because at some point in our lives, we might feel lost. We don't know what we are going to do. We don't know which path are we going to take, especially if we are in the mid-life crisis, no? So I think it's very important for us to not just listen to our desires, but also listen carefully to the people around us, because God have so many ways in contacting us, no? And we just need to carefully listen to even the plants, no, to the breeze of the air, no, to everything, because everything has something to say. No, and of course, listen to the women in your life. With Pastor Pia. So I guess we had a great talk for tonight. Thank you very much, Pastor Ramos, Pastor Alpuerto, and Pastor Pia.
welcome.
And
Thank you.
yeah, that would be all for tonight. To God be the glory.
To God be the glory.
That's it, friends. Thank you very much for tuning here with us. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share, and follow us on Facebook. That is hashtag Silliman, and YouTube. That is still hashtag Silliman. And don't forget to catch us live at Phil Products every Monday at 8 p.m. and replays will be shown every Tuesday before the noontime news and on Saturdays after the noontime news. This is Ronelyn Vailoces, and see you next week only here on
Hashtag Silliman!